Ho, ho, ho. Hi, I'm Kale, and I'm a preacher's daughter.
And I'm Eden, and I'm also a preacher's daughter.
And this is Gay Girls, Good God.
Christian content from a queer and Christmas perspective.
Holly jolly with it.
Holly jolly, bitch. One time when I was like 9, we went to Dollywood, and there was this...
Oh.
No. I lied. The Dixie Stampede. The Dixie Stampede. And there was this dude named Skeeter, who was this character, and we went during Christmas, and he used to do this thing.
Holly
Jolly.
Yes. We would go every Thanksgiving, and we would always go to Dixie Stampede and Dollywood. We had our little families that went to the mountains in the holiday seasons were a specific genre
Very
of Christian.
specific. If you went to Pigeon Forge
Or Gatlinburg, yeah.
Gatlinburg, when you, mama, the girls who get it, mama, you know.
It was so integral to my, we went every year. It was so integral to my childhood that my senior year, I had my senior photos taken in a town that was right outside of Pigeon Forge called Maryland, Tennessee.
Fuck yeah.
And to this day, I want to die there. That is where I want to take my final breath, is in Maryland, Tennessee.
Girl, the colors during autumn, the trees.
Bitch, I know. Go look at my senior album on Facebook. You'll see.
If anyone finds me on Facebook, don't look at the photo. Actually, wait. I don't have a Facebook.
Wait, you don't?
No. Well, I have a Facebook account, but I never actually used it. I made it recently so that I could look at surgeons' FFS results.
Eden called me into the room. I was doing something in the kitchen. She was like, "Hey, Kale, come here." And she was like, "Does this person have my profile?" And I was like, yeah. And she was like, "Yeah, I thought so too." And then I just went back into the kitchen.
Mama, I'm obsessed. I need to stop because I just sunken into this fascination of it in my spare time, being getting on my laptop and going and looking up FFS, facial feminization surgery, for those who are unindoctrinated, surgery results, and being like, ooh, I would look great with that. Ooh, I would look terrible with that. Ooh, I hope it doesn't
window
work out.
shopping.
Literally. And it's going to be 2 years before I can probably even get that. But I'm so scared and so excited.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something to look forward to in long term. It's a lot of people say that after 21 you have nothing to look forward to but death. But you have so much to look forward to. FFS.
At the FFS, I'm going to get my face yanked, plucked, prodded, shaved, all of it. And then I'm going to get a pussy.
You're gonna look like the Michelin Star Man for a week.
No, literally. I'm going to, for 4 months after FFS, apparently your whole face is still really swollen. So people will get so depressed because they're like, oh my God, I ruined my face.
I've been following on TikTok. Her name's Alluring Skull and her girlfriend.
Yes.
I've loved watching, because she got FFS and then 2 months later her girlfriend did. Love them.
Fuck the queer rich bitches that are no, not really. Love y'all. Holly Jolly Christmas.
Yes, a Dixie Stampede.
Yes, Merry Christmas to all.
When I think Holly Jolly Christmas, I was thinking Dixie Stampede. But yes, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Happy Holidays.
Winter.
You can't say Happy Holidays. That's taking remember the reason for the season.
The reason for the season.
Reason
Jesus.
for the season.
When you think of the manger, it's just pointing to the cross.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's roll it back. Kale, who are you praying for this week?
This week, I am praying for all of the girlies who have an Xbox who like to just play around on things.
Okay.
Because recently, we've had this Xbox since we moved in, but we've just never gotten around to buying a controller. And we did. And of course, we were immediately like, let's just get some free games. So we got Fortnite, of course, because that's free. And I discovered that there is a new Lego game on Fortnite. This is the really weird, expansive prayer request. It's this is how a little kid gives their prayer request.
You on Wednesday night service doing the prayer meeting.
So there's this Lego game on Fortnite.
In the back pew, so there's actually this.
And it is this beautiful mix of Minecraft and Lego with the animation budget of Fortnite. And it is beautiful. And the other day I was sitting there playing it with Sam and I was like, ooh, I'm going to build a little house here. Ooh, I'm going to build Eden a house next door. Ooh, we can put Zach's house. I built a fucking commune. And I was like, here's the building. We're all going to share these cows.
For those of you who don't know, half of Kale's life is dedicated to convincing the people that she loves to eventually move out into a plot of land and start a commune with her.
I call them the Sacred Six.
The Sacred Six! Which I support.
Am I a cult leader?
I hope you become a cult leader because I would love to be a cunty second in command.
Also, I can't imagine. That's my thing. Is I have a lot of the things that I desire are things that could also be desired by a cult leader, except I don't want to tell people what to do.
Yeah, I think, okay, here's the difference. A cult leader and cults are like serve the purpose of creating this in-group for their own like purposes or to like feed into their own ego or whatever, these cults of personality. Whereas you're just a bloody red communist. And
see, my only desire is the mutual benefit to me and those I love the most.
yeah, so basically you're an evil person and you're a cult leader and you need to go to jail.
Yeah, so am I praying for communists then?
I guess.
This is a wraparound saying way of saying I'm praying for communists.
All of the bitches who dabble in Xbox, aka communists. Very that. You know what? You know who I'm gonna pray for this week?
Who are you praying for this week?
I'm praying for bitches with BPD.
Thank you.
The bitches with BPD. Best pussy disorder.
Beautiful princess disorder.
Beautiful princess disorder. Bitchy prima donna disorder. Whatever you want to call it.
Bisexual panda disorder.
The Cincinnati Zoo putting up bi flags around the pandas like BPD Awareness Week. The bitches with BPD, I'm praying for y'all. It's been bad lately. Like, if you have
I don't know what
BPD,
you're talking about.
And,
did I take my medicine today? I did. Okay, sorry. That made me think about it. This happens to me daily. I asked him, did I take my medicine?
the fuck? Did I?
Charles. I gotta miss my test.
Oh, wait, fuck.
What the fuck are we doing?
Well, what is this podcast about?
Why are you praying for BPD bitches?
I'm praying for
because this.
I'm praying for bitches with BPD because the mood swings are crazy.
Oh yeah.
And also because the fucking inability to just like be chill. It's
Latuna can help.
No one talks about the main symptom of BPD is embarrassment.
Yes, because okay, I'll never.
You
forget,
have no chill.
I will-
BPD is no chill disorder.
I will never forget this one time, like last fall. I was literally having a breakdown. I was documenting it for you and Bree to see. I was going absolutely crazy.
Love when I open
And
my
then-
Snapchat and it's just you being like, I'm going insane.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was me. I think I sent you a video of me crying in an aisle of Walmart.
I'm like, work.
And then literally like 30 minutes later, I smoked a joint and I was like, life is beautiful.
That part.
What the fuck? Those two emotions should not exist within 15 minutes of each other.
Like, literally, it's insane. They're so close. And it makes you be like, as soon as you pass, you're like, oh, that was silly. But when you're in it.
One time, my therapist kind of described, like, because I usually get diagnosed with bipolar, which I do kind of had, but she was like, imagine the mood swings of bipolar, but happening like several times throughout a day, and it's not just mania and depression. And that was like, I was like, oh, so it's not normal to experience the full range of human emotion within an entire day.
Not only the full range of human emotion, an inhuman amount of emotion on both ends of the spectrum.
An amount that makes you want to peel your skin off. Because there is.
But also, we both have that toxic artist
like,
thing where we're
yes!
like, no one experiences
I'm
the world
bonding.
as intensely as me. I'm bonding. I'm soul bonding.
Rick and Morty episode, by the way.
Please don't. No, but the bitches would be like, for real, like literally, like something will happen at work. Someone will just like, one random person misgenders me, or like my ex just says something off the cuff,
And then
or
15 minutes is like
15 minutes for. I'm like, I should kill myself.
No, it's like that.
And then you get past it and you're like, oh, girl. But in that moment,
That is
it's
the thing.
so serious.
And that's why I have to tell it'll pass.
It'll pass.
Fleabag
It'll
season 2. Yeah, it will
Fleabag,
pass.
girl. Okay.
But Robin, it doesn't.
Girl. And
We
it's
have
not.
to do a Fleabag episode. You can lead
baby.
it, but I'll be sat.
Baby. Fleabag season 2, I will be doing an episode. Also, we've talked about this a little bit outside of the podcast, but we talk about like Christian content from a queer perspective, obviously.
But we have other thoughts and opinions
I
too.
have other thoughts and opinions. I think I'm going to start posting some things on my YouTube channel of just like, I want to talk about like Fleabag as a whole, and I want to talk about like the cartoon Invincible and stuff like that.
I want to talk about the entire expansive universe of VeggieTales.
Exactly.
I want to talk about Bob's Burgers.
Exactly. So I guess we're going to do like side projects because this is our main one and it's gotten so big.
Eugene from Try Guys.
Literally. Us having like 50 followers being like, you guys, stop. We're going
not
solo.
confounded.
Liam Payne core. Liam Payne.
So yes, definitely paying for the bitches with BPD. Oh man, what a journey.
What'd you call me? No.
A
What?
bee?
A-
There's a bee.
There's a bee. Michael with a bee. So that's what we're praying for. I am also praying for the bitches who work in retail right now who are being instructed to say Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas. Because
God.
I work at a popular large franchise that does so. And girl, already the looks and the attempts to be like, and Merry Christmas. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
What you gonna say back?
What you gonna say? You gonna say
Merry Christmas? You
Merry
scared?
Merry Kiss
I
my
didn't
ass.
blink the entire time I was staring into the camera.
My pronouns are Christmas.
Jesus is the reason for the season.
Remember the reason for the season. So that brings us to today's topic. Today we're going to be talking about the war on Christmas.
Just imagine Weird Al, the
Weird
night
Al.
Santa went crazy.
Girl.
That is the war on Christmas.
That is the boom boom war on Christmas.
The night Santa went crazy.
So, for those of you who don't know, there is a part of the broader culture war in America, as a lot of people call it, is this one particular issue that wages every year around the holiday season, known since Fox News dubbed it so, the war on Christmas. Now, it has died down in relevancy in recent years, like incredibly so, and I think that makes this a great opportunity to kind of take almost a retrospective, a posthumous look at the war on Christmas instead of approaching it as like, these people are saying this crazy thing. I think that it has lost a lot of cultural relevancy. So now we can look at it less of like, here is what the war on Christmas is, and more of, here's what the war on Christmas meant.
Yes.
Yeah. So, that in mind, I would like to talk to you today about the war on Christmas as a whole, giving you a brief history, but then also moving past from that to dig into the deeper meaning of why it's so important to Christians to hold on to this idea of the war on Christmas as a broader issue of the Christian victimization complex.
Oh, bitch! One of our favorite topics is
Yo ho ho, bitch!
Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum.
Oh, I forgot. Yo was not supposed. This is ho ho ho. Was Santa?
Yo ho ho, I'm Santa.
Was Santa a pirate in a former life?
You know?
Silence on the podcast. Silence on the podcast. Okay, I'm going to jump right into it. We're talking about the war on Christmas. So to begin with a little bit of the history, I want to talk about the fact, in general, we can define the war on Christmas as just the belief that the culture as a whole is attempting to erase Christianity from Christmas as part of a grander scheme to eliminate Christianity itself. Let that sink in. No, I'm kidding.
Every
NPR
time
voice.
someone says that, I think of the sink at the door. It's let that sink in.
Let that sink in. Then when Elon Musk took a sink to the Twitter,
He
Elon
ruins
Musk.
everything.
Elon Musk killed you. No, I can't.
What?
What?
No.
What? I mean, no. What?
We'd rather eat him. You can't
Hello?
eat the rich.
Oh, and that one. I was like, I mean,
No, stop it.
what was I saying?
The war on Christmas.
The war on Christmas before I started thinking about Elon Musk's dick. So basically it's the idea that Christianity is being eliminated from the public space itself. It is like sincerely held by a lot of Christians as part of a broader cultural narrative. But this, every December it comes up in earnest because we have this kind of cultural touchstone artifact, institution.
The birth of our savior.
The birth of our savior. That we can project all of this anxiety and anger onto. So I want to go ahead and jump into this. This 2013 Politico article by Denver, which is titled A Short History of the War on Christmas, mentions that specifically the war on Christmas as we know it was named such and started by Bill O'Reilly segments.
Of course it was.
2004. Tell me what you know about Bill O'Reilly, bitch.
He wrote the book Killing Jesus. He wrote the book Killing Lincoln. He wrote the book Killing the Rising Sun. anything that was like killing insert name.
He wrote the
He wrote it.
He wrote the TV show Killing Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bill O'Reilly Killing Eve. Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Bill O'Reilly in the room.
I read one of his books. I read Killing Jesus.
Moving on.
Listen, I've said, I have had my preacher's daughter era and not the Ethel Cain sentence.
Do you want to come out of the closet as a former Ben Shapiro kid?
I was not. I was more of a Steven Crowder girly.
That's so much. I was trying to throw you a bone here. Okay, talk about it.
It all stems down to wanting my dad to like me.
Oh shit, yeah. Too real. Me doing manual labor, chopping up trees in the woods, like, am I a man now, Dad? Like,
me becoming a full, like, red-pilled, like, women should stay in the home. And
now
look at me, a woman in the home.
But in a gay way.
You're
You're queering that picture of George Santos that's like, to be expelled is to queer the nature of belonging.
Every time I think of George Santos, I think of saying that, Congressman Santos, who do you think will win RuPaul's Drag Race? And him turning around going...
I love George Santos.
But also, he has ruined several people's lives.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, George Santos. I know you're listening. Friend of the pod, George Santos. Friend of the pod, George Santos. Don't listen to this bitch. I see you. Real recognize real. Diva. I see you, Diva.
So many people out of their livelihoods.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Me and Miss George, we're on the level. Get out. You're not a diva.
As Reverend Jen from Fundy Fridays once said, you can be a terrible person and still be an icon. And that will come up again in future episodes when we talk about Gwen Shamlin and Tammy Faye Baker. You can be a terrible person and still be an icon, and that is George Santos.
George Santos, he's a diva. And if you don't support the video of Beyonce going, she ain't no diva.
But imagine that being the person that she's pointing at.
Me in the audience, like, oh my gosh, I paid so much for this front row ticket. Oh my
She
gosh,
ain't no diva.
Girl,
kill myself.
Dead on the runway. They go get people to Vogue on stage. It's me and I snap my neck. You're like, oh my god, a death drop. No, a dead drop, mama. Anyways, what we're doing? War on Christmas. We gotta stop drinking on the pod.
But it's so much. No,
baby,
this is what you came for.
So, Bill O'Reilly.
Yes.
Basically, in 2004, Bill O'Reilly launched a series of segments titled, like, The War on Christmas. And from here, it blew up in popularity and only continued in earnest for the years to come. Primarily, it focused on, like, retailers and department stores. The idea was, like, places like Macy's, Walmart, or whatever, were telling their greeters and their cashiers or whatever to say, Happy Holidays, instead of Merry Christmas. That's it.
That's literally it.
Instead of saying, like, Christmas section, it would say holiday section. And to them, this was the greatest attack in history. This was Nicki Minaj, Pound the Alarm. This was Code Red, DEFCON 1. We are under attack. Barb's man the station. It was over.
Which, to talk about the reindeer in the room, the main, obviously you're going to talk about this, but they're not belittling Christmas. They're just saying there's other holidays that happen in the season. And instead of saying Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, etc. section, it just says Happy Holidays. Because whatever holiday.
Because we're going to get into it, but bitch, yeah. Essentially, the important thing to know is that the Christians claimed they were under attack because other religions were being included.
That were simply existing.
They were simply existing. But I'm going to...
The lack of oppression to others is an oppression of them.
Mama, say it again for the people in the back. No, that's not what you said.
The lack of oppression of others
No,
is
you
the
can't take it
oppression
back.
of them.
Sing it, Sister Kale. Basically, yeah. You know that quote that's like, when you've only ever experienced privilege, equality feels like oppression. Mm-hmm. Very much that. Anyways, it basically moved on. This 2004 series of segments sparked a cultural phenomenon. And then we see a host of very familiar and big dog players in the evangelical scene jump onto the bandwagon. Jerry Falwell's...
Of course.
Jerry Falwell, who, bitch, if y'all don't know about Jerry Falwell...
We'll do an episode on Jerry Falwell and Liberty University for
also,
sure.
And
Jerry Falwell Jr. The cook.
Both of them will just come up in a lot of things because they have their little grubby fingers in
everything evangelical.
Literally everything.
And conservative politics, yeah.
Exactly. And they are one of the main figures that tied the two together also over the last few decades. So Jerry Falwell's Liberty Council and the Alliance Defense Fund pledged to fight, quote unquote, restrictions on Christmas goodwill. Yeah.
Fighting
the
words fighting and goodwill
put together. They're strapping on the armor of God and taking the sword of the scripture to go and fight against the oppression of Christian goodwill.
I'm just picturing them going to Hobby Lobby to like armor up.
Literally. Them taking the stolen like scrolls that Hobby Lobby took from me, like by the name of, yeah, exactly. So also AFA, which is the American Family Association.
Bitch, I know about the AFA.
Girl, they got involved. They made boycott lists. They started putting out all these things like, here are the places you shouldn't go. Here are the places
reason
you
I
can.
knew so much about this is because this is the direct line of information my family was tied to.
Yes, same. AFA had one of their headquarters right in the city that I grew up in the South, in Mississippi. Tupelo,
yeah.
Mississippi. Yeah. Not to give away too much, but I've been very close to people who worked at AFA in my life. AFA is a sinister, bureaucratic, like, organization that is entirely dedicated, not just to, like, spreading Christianity or whatever, but just to normalizing Christian values in an insidious and subtle way that places them in the minds of the masses, like, in a way that seems totally innocuous, but then when it comes to cultural issues like homosexuality, recognizing other religions,
They're the
like politics,
fighters,
yeah. They immediately push forward and be like, well, we're so rational in all these other things, so you can trust us to say that you should shoot anyone that gets an abortion.
Yeah.
Like, it's very much that. It's crazy. So this kind of brings us to the question, like, over the last, like, for like a decade, if not more after this point, every single year, Christians, especially people on Fox News, would get outraged over the fact that these stores weren't saying Merry Christmas, they were just saying Happy Holidays. The Starbucks wasn't saying, like, Merry Christmas on their cups, they were just having red cups or whatever. They were taking Jesus out of Christmas. They were taking Christ out of Christmas.
My dad, like, would not let us say Happy Holidays.
Yes.
Like if you said, saying Happy Holidays was the devil.
It was so serious. It was so serious. And it was taken as, like, you can do Xmas, even though that was, like...
No, we couldn't do Xmas.
Yeah, even though that's literally, like, an old way of shortening Christ. Like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally...
But they thought it was saying, like, no Christ.
No Christ. Because they're fucking stupid and they don't like Jesus Christ. Literally.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
The birth.
Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne. So, but, like, all of that stuff, they just took it as a personal attack. So, like, I guess we can entertain them for a second and ask, like, was this real? Was there an intentional push, like, from the up top to remove Christianity from the holiday season?
Which, by the way, I'd be for.
It wasn't real. there was
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. It's literally not, like, there was never, if you just take one moment to look at the actual material reality of what happened and what they were complaining about, it does not make sense on any level or any way, shape, or form to categorize it as the oppression of Christianity or as the intentional suppression of Christianity.
Yeah.
A lot of the kind of following arguments and references are taken from an H. Bomber Guy video that got released, I believe, 2 years ago. I almost said 2 videos ago, which with H. Bomber Guy is basically 2 years ago. They'll have to drop one every year. Like, girl. Anyways, it has this like Happy Holidays, saying all these things instead, that has been going on for decades. Like, if you think of the song Happy Holidays.
Happy Holidays.
That's decades old. It was written by religious people. Like, we've had all these artifacts throughout history, people saying Happy Holidays instead, just because it's a different way to say it, because you want variety, and also because there are other holidays going on at the time.
Also, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays have subtly different syncopations. Merry Christmas. I don't know. Maybe they don't. Maybe, no, actually, they don't.
Also, like all the way back in 1959, even then, the John Birch Society said that, like, quote unquote, UN radicals were trying to erase Christ from the season, and they were eliminating Christ from the holidays, which was fundamentally just a move towards inclusion. They weren't excluding Christianity, they were including others.
Yeah.
So this has not only been going on for forever in an innocuous sense, Christians have also been opposing it for forever, for no reason other than the fact that they cannot stand the idea that they are losing cultural hegemony.
Yeah.
Like, they want to be the unquestioned and singular power within the
Yes.
culture, and any question to that is perceived as a threat.
Like we said, like saying, "Oh, you don't agree with me. Oh, you hate me. Oh, I'm being oppressed."
Oh, I'm
it's
being
like
oppressed.
anything that is not fully in support of is the oppression of.
So this has been said in a lot of different ways, but it's kind of like the conservative claim that liberals and leftists and minority populations specifically are just so easily triggered, and that they aren't really oppressed. They're just like, they don't really know what it's like, blah, 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 blah. It's projection, because they are literally, every accusation is an admission.
Oh, yeah.
They are the ones that have all of the power and all the cultural power, and yet when they like see a trans woman in a Bud Light commercial, or someone says Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas, they lose their fucking
Goddamn
minds,
minds, yeah.
literally every single time. But heaven forbid, like, a black person asks that the police stop shooting them, or like a gay person asks that they're allowed to get married.
No, that's where we draw the line.
No,
I'm sorry.
no.
We can't do that one.
We're being attacked, like the sanctity of marriage, the American dream.
Also the fact that you're claiming a idea is being attacked. Like you're
Yes.
openly admitting that you are not being attacked, but the things that you believe and value are that's being attacked.
Exactly.
It's just
And
like, you're fine.
it's an ideology that has to make you believe
Your life's not in danger.
your life that your ideology being in danger is just as bad as other people's lives being
Yeah.
in danger. Because you need to be the victim in order to justify violence in modern culture.
Yeah, because that's you have to be able to justify all the horrific things you're doing, and again, like, you don't want to be the oppressor, so you have to make it look like everything you're doing is out of defense.
Because we had this shift, which is like, it's discussed in various ways in different studies, but we can, like, this may not be accurate, but I'll just call it the postmodern shift of, like, you might no longer makes right in the literal sense. You cannot just define morals because you are the one in power and admit that that's what you're doing. You have to pretend like what you're doing is divinely mandated, and also that it is rational, that it is a response to your own oppression, that, like, it is what is fair and just and true to everyone, even if it's not. You have to have the veneer of, like, egalitarian liberal principles, even if you don't actually have the fundamental baseline, like, belief and ideology behind it.
It reminds me, it kind of takes this ironic twist on the Christians saying a wolf in sheep's cloth, or a wolf in sheep's clothing, because the sense of, like, the sheep is the prey.
Yes.
And so the Christians take on this, like, this costume or facade, they cosplay the prey, when in reality, they are the wolf in the sheep's cloth.
Yes. They talk about themselves as, like, the flock of Christ, and he is the shepherd. Bitch, you are the wolf.
Yeah.
Girl. And yes, I am calling Christians furries. You can quote me on that. You can quote me. Every Christian is a furry. They're all
sheep.
lambs. Lamb of God. The Anyways. So basically, there is this long history of the war on Christmas, quote unquote. Christians have always been, like, pushing against it, claiming that they're victims or whatever. We've talked about that this is losing cultural relevancy as we move on to more, relevant issues, and as Christianity is less allowed in the public sphere in the explicit sense, we're moving on to things like transgender ideology in schools and stuff like that, because it's not as acceptable and popular to say they're removing Christianity from the public sphere, because the reality of the matter is Christianity is leaving the public sphere because more and more people are leaving the Christian church.
But that can't possibly be because their beliefs aren't true. So it has to be something else. Has to be the reason.
Something else has to be the reason.
Because it's not us. It can't be us.
So, long story short, it has lost cultural relevancy, but you're licking the salt out the gum. It has lost cultural relevancy. However, the exact same mentality and the exact same line of thinking has maintained itself and, in fact, maybe even grown in political and cultural relevancy in other ways. Mm-hmm. So getting to the core of what that is, I would now like to talk about what drives that war on Christmas, which is the American Christian victimhood complex.
Yes!
But just from the name, tell me a little bit about what you think about this.
Sort of like we've talked about, we've touched on so far, just the idea that people who are Christians are the oppressed. They constantly feel the need, because I think it stems from that addiction to suffering. They constantly feel like they are being attacked, they are under attack, they are not safe, which is just sort of forcing themselves into some sort of PTSD that has no validation, because most forms of PTSD have validation, but this one that Christians give themselves does not have validation.
They're self-diagnosing with PT. You heard it here, folks. Kale does not support self-diagnosis. You're not valid.
No, most people who self-diagnose are quite valid, because if they weren't valid, they wouldn't be able to self-diagnose. But the indoctrination makes them think that they have been traumatized and that they are constantly, someone's out to get them.
Exactly.
And,
it's because if you convince someone that they are being hunted, or if you convince someone that they are in danger,
then it's okay to kill.
It's very easy to manipulate them into doing things they otherwise would never feel okay doing, or that their conscience would naturally tell them, like, hey, this is crazy.
Because once someone's enter my home, I have full right to shoot them. I got my rifles in the bag, but I won't shoot them until they enter my house.
Exactly. Castle doctrine.
Yeah.
Mama, it's castle doctrine ideology for real. So basically, as we said earlier, the American Christian victimhood complex is just kind of the idea that any tiny loss of hegemony, basically the total control of the culture, like in its ideology and its like the media produced under it, the political flow like under like that's going on, that's treated as an existential threat to their very existence.
So dramatic,
right? Like Christians, they are divas.
Yeah,
diva down.
They're the gayest homophobes you will ever meet.
Truly, I don't want to stop talking about George Santos. Can we? No. Basically, this quote that was taken from that Politico article I mentioned earlier. It's a quote from Bill Riley in that article. I think this reveals a lot. This is basically just like giving us direct insight into this mentality. He says, secular progressives realize, O'Reilly continued, that America as it is now will never approve of gay marriage, partial birth abortion, euthanasia, legalized drugs, income redistribution through taxation, and many other progressive visions because of religious opposition. But if the secularists can destroy religion in the public arena, brave new progressive world is a possibility. That's what happened in Canada. So basically, he makes the line of thinking here explicit. He's saying That's what happened in Canada, bitch.
It gives facts in Canada.
Canada, that land of queers and homosexuals. Also, this sounds like a damn good time. Income redistribution through taxation, partial birth abortion, euthanasia, legalized drugs, homosexual marriage. Mama, call me.
That is the checklist for the city I want to live in.
We gotta go to Canada.
They
They don't want us. So basically, we can he makes it explicit here. He's tying the like. The Tucker Carlson of it all. The boom, 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 boom. That's what happened in Canada. That's like remember in 2018 when everything was like, if you do this, then it's basically socialism. And do you want to end up like Venezuela?
Oh my god.
Everything was Venezuela, girl. It's called a resource curse. It's when your entire economy relies on one export, which Venezuela was forced to do on oil because of U.S. embargoes and block. We're not going to get into it. Basically, O'Reilly kind of makes it explicit here when he ties together these literal political agenda items with the conservative Christian ideology specifically, and then tries to claim that the oppositional method of undermining one and therefore the other is this attempt to remove Christianity, quote unquote, from the public sphere. So 2 things that are interesting about this. First, foremost, a lot of the things that he mentions, like he tries to say like partial birth abortion, euthanasia, legalized drugs. What he's talking about are agenda items, progressive agenda items that time and time again, for instance, income redistribution through higher taxes on the rich, less strict laws against like marijuana or drug use, things like that. Abortion access, all of those things that conservatives oppose are very popular amongst the general American population. So the only way that conservatives are able to hold that back from becoming the reality in the United States is by bypassing these people's rational belief in those policies through religion and that conservative ideology of like, even if you believe this is right or whatever, you need to vote against your best interest personally as a poor person in the United States or whatever, because of religion, because of X, Y, and Z, because of this one tiny issue or whatever. So it's almost like he's doing the exact opposite of what the truth is. Every accusation and admission, he's saying, well, what we want is really popular, so they have to use these backdoor tricks to try and get us to vote against it.
Oh my God.
When that's exactly what conservatives are doing. And all he is trying to point out of like the war on Christmas is a superficial aesthetic shift in language.
Yeah,
whereas what they are engaging in is an intentional, like, fundamental political goal that they are pushing on all levels.
So what I'm hearing from all of this is fuck Ronald Reagan.
Fuck Ronald Reagan. And I'll say it again. Fuck Ronald Reagan.
And in case you haven't made it clear, this podcast is very anti-Reagan.
Anti-Reagan. Also, we haven't said this in a while, and I don't think anyone's listening to this point if they are a Christian, but if you are, we are not inherently opposed to Christians. If you believe in like the Christ and the God of the Holy Bible, if you identify as a Christian or whatever, we're not inherently like, we do not inherently look down on you. We, first of all, don't like to say that a lot because the culture demands that you say that every time you criticize Christianity.
Because of that victimhood.
Because of that victimhood, because of the victim complex, because of the cultural hegemony that it maintains.
Right.
That if you were to even barely criticize it, you have to say, but not all of them are bad, but not all men, right?
Yeah.
But to be clear, we think that there's a lot of value that can be found in Christian ideology and faith.
And it's still, like, some of those things are still present in both of our lives.
Exactly. But we do not, as non-Christians, like, believe that it cannot go questioned as a political and cultural belief system.
Yeah.
So if your belief system tells you that, like, gay people shouldn't have rights, or that trans people deserve, like, to not have access to healthcare, or that, like, black and brown people overseas should be bombed, then we do not respect you just because it's what your religion tells you to do.
No.
Yeah. So obviously, we're not going to coddle any of that, but in case it wasn't clear,
We don't hate you.
We don't hate you. If you believe those things, we do, but we don't inherently hate you just because you're Christian.
And that's for you, Barbara, in the comments.
That's for you, Barbara. Okay, Barbara. Jesus Christ. One of my go-to names for, like, okay, Sharon or whatever is Tiffany. Or
That's my mom.
And it's your mom's name. So I have to be careful.
She's an angel.
Exactly. She's an
part.
angel. The same thing with, like, one of my ex's moms. It was like, I would say their ex, and it would be like, why are you talking about my mom? It's like, no, it's just like one of my go-to.
I go for Barbara too, and it's
Barbara.
my grandmother, but that's warranted. Shout out to Haley or Jamie if you're watching.
Not that's warranted. That's warranted. So, first of all, that's what happened in Canada. That's what happened in Canada, girl. But Mama,
The Canadians, they celebrate all the holidays now.
Mama, friend of the pod, Canada.
Canada, friend of the pod.
Actually, fuck Canada, honestly.
Justin Trudeau, you're not slick.
No, land back now. Jesus Christ.
Toby Barker.
Toby Barker.
Toby Barker, bitch.
That's
Love
the
you,
most,
Toby Barker.
that is the most deep cut local politics reference ever. Oh my god. This brings me to another article I would like to kind of cite and talk about, which is this 2017 article in Vox by Lopez. He writes that basically a new study of 2,000 U.S. adults, which was conducted, I believe, in February of 2017 by the Public Religion Research Institute, otherwise known as the PRRI, suggested that white evangelicals think Christians face more discrimination than Muslims.
Oh my god.
And they are the only group that believes that. Now, I was fascinated by the fact that like evangelicals of color do not necessarily believe that. Like more they believe that Muslims are less persecuted than Christians. In fact, they believe the opposite, at least by a small percent. It's specifically white evangelicals that believe they are prosecuted and persecuted more than Muslims.
And can I just say, that seems like less of a problem with the religion and more with the specific sect of the religion.
Girl, don't even get me started.
That extra white.
Why?
White.
Because this is where we kind of tie it together. The evangelical victimhood complex, which, like, let me kind of crystallize it for a moment. The American evangelical victimhood complex is basically the belief of American evangelicals that they are being persecuted, that they are unfairly being attacked, and that the culture is out to get them, despite the truth and the material reality that they are coddled and given more privileges and more power in the culture than any other group. And that is specifically, I believe, related to whiteness, because
absolutely.
That is exactly what white people are going through.
Right.
It is this fear and this threat that white people feel, that just because they are no longer allowed to be
the priority,
that they are no longer allowed to be unquestioned in their ability to oppress and squash and ignore people of color, that they are being attacked and oppressed. And this wasn't what it was like when we were younger. We could just say the N-word and no one would get mad like they do now.
It's like, I'm just imagining someone on like a very tall mountain and there's someone at the bottom like screaming like, hey! And then being like, whoa!
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 Whoa! Hey!
Whoa!
Whoa! Lower your voice.
That hurt.
Literally, white people are like, well, like, maybe people deserve like equality, but they were mean to me when they asked for it, so they shouldn't get it.
Oh my
Girl, shut the fuck up.
Barbara.
It's so white. This Christian, like, it's not. I don't even just want to call it Christian.
The problem isn't Christian. It's white Christians.
It's white Christians specifically.
This is not where this podcast is not targeting Christians. It's targeting specifically white evangelical Christians.
White evangelical Christians. It's because it is a broader American cultural issue.
It's just toxic on toxic on. It's just like oppression on like.
There's
oppression.
levels to it, girl. Yeah, it's too much. It's too much.
It is capitalism's golden child.
It is. John Calvin.
Fuck you.
What she said, like, literally, it's too much.
Enemy of the pod. Public enemy number one of the pod is not God, contrary to popular belief. It's John Calvin.
Number one ally, George Santos. Number one enemy, John Calvin.
We can agree on that.
Mama,
we'll talk about George Santos later. But...
Cage match between George Santos and John Calvin. Hailing in this corner from New York.
Host. Gentlemen, start your engines and may the best woman win. George Santos and John Calvin.
Oh my God. Let's make it happen, ladies. Let's make it happen.
Come on, John Calvin.
John
Race
Calvin,
for the dead.
I know you're listening.
We need it for All Stars.
All Stars season 7.
But it's just George Santos and John Calvin.
John Calvin walks into the workroom.
Powdered wig.
Just because I'm dead doesn't mean the girls won't be living for my looks. Okay, we gotta move on. We gotta move on. But I don't want. Okay, I don't wanna. So I would like to talk about this. I don't really give a fuck, like, what causes this, like, specifically this victimhood mentality, because we know it's like their psychological perspective, like the political influence of the leaders and the people in power, like pushing these narratives for their own gain, like all of that, like jumping into, well, why do they think that way? We get it. We know it's not that interesting. What is more important to me, I think, is to investigate what's the effect. Mm-hmm. I don't want to know why they did it. I want to know what happens because they do it.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of like the English training in me. It's like, Mama, death of the author. I don't want to know why they wrote that. I want to know what the effect
Impact
is.
Yeah.
Yes. So I would say that the effect of this victimhood mentality that is maintained by Christians is pretty clear. Like, because they maintain themselves as the victims, it gives them the experience of being threatened which justifies oppression and violence, even if that experience of being threatened is not valid or grounded in reality. It is just experienced as psychologically real.
Delulu.
Delulu. Ladies, are you Delulu? Believe that you're being politically oppressed even though you maintain political cultural hegemony?
The attention to the parentheses.
One time, this girl told me, I'm bow-legged, okay? I'm insecure about it. But this girl told me, girl, your leg's built like a pair of parentheses.
She read you for...
She ate me up. I have lived with that bouncing around in my head for years.
She did not know the damage she was delivering.
No, I think she did. I think she said,
"This is gonna stick with her."
Yes, and Mama, you know what? I admire you for that. You showed me what real reading is like. So just like I felt attacked by that girl who pointed out how bow-legged I was, these Christians feel attacked by the fact that they no longer have all the power in the fucking world. Bringing it back. I'm doing a segue.
You get bullied once. Which is me. I got bullied once by, well, not once, but several times over the course of a few years by this specific sect of men. And now every time I see that one of them has died from a drug overdose, I'm like, well, no, I'm just kidding. I do feel really bad.
Bitch deserved it. Bitch deserved it.
No, it was only one of them, and then one of them got paralyzed because he was drunk driving.
Well.
And that's why you don't bully people, folks.
You with your mind powers making them veer off the road, like.
The way I had completely forgot about them too. Anyway, but just all that to say, don't bully bitches. And when you get bullied, if you dish it out, you better be able to take it.
You better be able to take it, bitch.
Christians can't take it. They can't take it up the ass.
Mama, no, they're the bitch that strictly tops. Girl, bend over. No,
girl, bend over.
Girl, bend over.
If you can't take it up the ass,
how the hell are you gonna give it to somebody else? Anyways,
you can't truly top until you bottomed.
And I've always said that. Veering back to talk about Christian power politics in the American.
What do you mean it's completely related?
Basically, I would say that this feeling of victimization not only justifies the oppression or whatever, but it also gives this like individual experience of being threatened, which puts up the blinders. It makes you feel attacked, and when you feel attacked, it's going to close you off to outside perspectives.
Absolutely.
And what should be...
you're fight or flight.
Exactly.
No,
it should be reasonable and rational arguments, except your brain has been programmed by these people, these flows of information and media, to instead see those as the enemy. And you're not going to listen to what the enemy's saying as a rational set of arguments or ideas. You're going to listen to it as propaganda.
Because if I've learned anything from misogyny in the media, it's that if you're being emotional, you can't be rational.
Mama, if you're being emotional, you can't be rational.
Projecting.
Projecting, bitch. Projecting. They're like, you seem really trigger liberal. You should probably like take a break. Obviously, you don't know what you're talking about.
But they say that because they got triggered.
Exactly, because they're pissed that like the restroom doesn't have like a big fat like BBL girl for the woman's
because
restroom.
Because there's not a big there's not like a big giant like this is for penis, this is for vulva.
Exactly, bitch. So it's a way for the media, the ruling class, conservative thought leaders, whatever you want to say, to kind of it's one of the most explicit ways that we can see them kind of grabbing the Christian population by the ear and dragging them down the aisle of their political goals.
Right.
Which is why I think it's really useful to study and talk about the war on Christmas as like a cultural phenomenon and event, because it teaches us a lot of the ways that Christianity uses guilt and fear-mongering in order to control the behavior, the voting patterns, the political thought of the population as a whole.
Right.
And so when we see how it happens in this really explicit way with Christmas, we can start to identify those same patterns appear in other smaller areas of life and different ways of thinking.
Yeah.
Which is like... Girl. So every Christmas season, when your aunt's pitching a fit over the red cups at Starbucks or whatever,
oh my God.
just be like, girl.
Take it up the bend over,
girl. Bend over.
When your grandma's complaining about the red cups at Starbucks, bend over, grandma.
If old Barbara's like, well, they don't girl, take it up the ass. Take it up the ass right now. Girl. So essentially what we're doing psychologically is a trick where it frames the loss of control as abuse.
Right.
And
which is
girl,
so that
there's abuse is such a, we talk a lot about abuse on this podcast
because we're victims of
abuse. Social structures, power imbalances in general work through abuse dynamics, wherein the abuser will like exert power in certain ways, but also one trick that we experience a lot is that abusers are going to frame the situation as though they're the victims,
which is literally like textbook narcissism,
in order to justify their own abuse. It's literally, it's just how it works. It's how the world works. Bo Burnham, friend of the pod.
Bo Burnham, friend of the pod. Arguably the biggest friend of the pod.
I want to see Bo Burnham versus George Santos.
And John Calvin.
3-way WWE SmackDown. Hailing from New York. Weighing in at 130 pounds. 5 foot 1 inch. George Santos.
Bo Burnham would get eaten alive.
George Santos jumping on top of him and gnawing at his shoulder blades. John Calvin throwing books.
Bo Burnham does not stand a goddamn chance.
Well, yes.
Love him,
though. Love him. Abusers. Christians, basically, on a cultural, societal level, Christianity is an abuser.
The killer.
Wendy Williams. Shout out to Wendy Williams, friend of the pod. Wendy Williams versus George Santos versus John Calvin versus Bo Burnham.
Winner, by the way, Wendy Williams.
Wendy Williams taking those bitches and
she would drag them through the mud. Comment who you think would win in that season of All Stars.
Epic rap battles of history.
Wendy Williams versus George Santos, John Calvin, Bo Burnham.
So boiling it down to this, the war on Christmas is not real. It is just a word that the Christians helpfully gave us. They named it themselves for the phenomenon of the American evangelical victimhood complex. And
what a word, what a mouthful.
What a mouthful. And every December we get reminded that the way Christianity is used to motivate conservatism in the United States is through promoting the idea of victimhood.
Right.
Through promoting fear. Because if you can instigate fear, it is the same way it's tied to the idea of like white replacement. People are so afraid.
Fear is so powerful.
Fear is so powerful. You make white people afraid that they are being replaced ethnically, that like black and brown people are going to become the majority because that's scary, I guess, or whatever. Like, Jesus Christ, you convince Christians that like radical jihad is coming to the United States. It's going to take over. You convince like straight people that like queer people are going to take over.
Their babies.
Yeah, are going to like destroy the sanctity of marriage. That trans people are going to demand that they have sex with them or whatever. And it's like, if you make them afraid of all these things that are just not happening, then you can convince them to vote for and even participate in behavior and policies that are fundamentally evil.
Or support, military states doing things because you believe that if they don't do that, you are in danger.
You are in danger. It's the same way that true crime works to make white women feel like they are in constant danger, so that they need police around all the time.
Yeah.
That they need to support police violence in order to protect them. When the reality is, like,
get some pepper spray.
Get some pepper spray. Also, like, if you are a victim of a violent crime, police are not going to be the ones that help.
No.
They never are. Police never arrive on time. They never help you out. And in fact, if they even do show up, oftentimes they're gonna like question you.
Bestie, I know.
Bestie, do we have some news for you?
I will talk about my experience with violent crimes and police at one point, but they won't believe you.
They won't believe you, and they're full of men, pigs
with ugly ass tattoos. That was a little too personal.
Girl, a little too personal. He was kind of no. All of this to say, throughout the year, although you will not be given as explicit of a reminder or of an example as the war on Christmas to understand and to recognize this evangelical victimhood complex, and then to trace the connection between that psychological experience and the cultural behavior of the conservative movement, try and find it in other ways. Try and find that when Fox News commentators are trying to scare your grandparents into thinking like the black and brown people are coming for them.
Yeah.
Try and find that whenever anyone is pushing fear or anyone is trying to connect the idea that loss of power equals victimization, and you will see that they are attempting to control the behavior of the majority in order to oppress unfairly and irrationally the minority.
Salud.
Salud.
So again, we're praying for the communists.
Yes, we're wearing red today not because we love Christmas, but because we are bloody fucking communists. And
Putting the Christ back in communism.
Putting the Christ back in communism. The C in Christ stands for communism. The rest stands for righteous. Also, Christ was a communist, first and foremost.
Absolutely.
First and foremost.
We'll do an episode.
Oh, we'll do an episode.
We'll do an episode. Oh, girl, we'll get together. We'll do an episode.
Girl, we'll get together. We'll do our nails. And then we'll talk about Marx.
Friend of the pod, again.
Friend of the pod. So, I have a question for you, Kale. Out of today's episode, who do you think is the butch lesbian and who do you think is the manic pixie?
I think that Bill O'Reilly is the butch lesbian, and the little gay man from Dixie Stampede is the Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Okay, explain. Say more.
Manic Pixie Dream Girl is just all about the feelings. We just have a holly jolly Christmas. They're all about making sure that the vibes are had, and Bill O'Reilly has an agenda.
Yes. Okay.
One thing about butch lesbians, folks, is they have a plan.
They have a plan. It is structured, well organized, well executed.
Manic Pixie Dream Girl are here for the ride.
It's vibes.
Can I just throw in today's Manic Pixie Dream? Oh, do you have one?
I have one.
Oh, you have. I'll save mine for next time. You tell me yours.
I think today's butch lesbian is John Calvin, and today's Manic Pixie is George Santos.
Absolutely.
Because John Calvin, he lays out this strict set of rules. He has a plan.
Oh, did he have a plan?
Did he ever have a plan, girl, for his soul and yours? And George Santos, girl, he's about the vibes.
Absolutely.
The truth doesn't even matter to her.
No.
We are about the vibes.
How did we get here to our butch lesbian John Calvin and our Manic Pixie being George Santos?
How did we get here?
You know what? Have you ever asked the question, how did we get here?
Record scratch. Yeah, that's me. I'm sure you're wondering, how did she get there? Well, my life is kind of crazy. Kind of weird. When someone's like, so why did you marry someone, move out of the state randomly,
how did you end up in this
and
city?
Start living with a transsexual?
My life is kind of crazy. It all started when someone broke into my house. No. Today, we are doing something different.
Oh, shit.
This pod is airing on December 20th, which is not only a Wednesday, but also Miss Eden Orwell's birthday. And so I have been dying to give her Christmas gifts all year.
Oh my
and so
God.
on the pod, I will be giving her her gift, and she will explain what it is. And before you get this, I just want to say I do it for my daddy.
You do it for your what? Okay.
Open the
okay.
gift.
I am so okay. I hate getting gifts because I love gifts and appreciate them so much, and I love my friends and appreciate them so much, and I feel like I can never convey how much they really mean
It's really
to
one
me.
of our episodes.
If this is what I think it is.
It's a Dale Earnhardt Jr. shirt that Ethel Kane has. I do it for my daddy and I do it for Dale.
Oh my gosh. I don't think you understand.
I do. That's why I got it.
Oh my god. This is the most thoughtful
This is the verse of the day.
This is the first that this fucking
The verse today's verse of the day is I do it for my daddy and I do it for Dale.
Ethelations 319.
Exactly.
The fact that this mustachioed man on this t-shirt means more to me than you can understand. Thank you so much, Sister Tail.
Of course, I thought it would be the most perfect and the gayest gift that I could give you.
It's so gay. But you know who else is gay?
Who?
God is gay all the time.
And all the time, God is gay.
Thank you all for watching.
Dare we say happy holidays?
Happy holidays. Thank you all so much for listening to today's service. And as always, thank you to our music minister, Brother Sam, for creating that beautiful piece of music that is our intro and outro.
And if you are a visitor with us today, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button and rating us 5 stars wherever you're listening. And if you love the show, next week when you come back, why don't you bring a friend?
And remember, God is gay all the time.
And all the time, God is gay.